Hey everybody, this is Annette, aka Brave Mama. I just wanted to come on and talk a little bit to you about our homeschool situation and why we homeschool and what our homeschool looks like. And I've already told you before, I have 5 children. They range from the age of 17 all the way down to 2, and my oldest is a senior this year. And then my next two are both going to be sophomores this year, and then I have a third grader and a 2-year old. So um, life for us is can be a little bit crazy, but we started homeschooling my oldest two. Let me backtrack a little bit in case you haven't watched my other videos to tell you that we have 4 biological children and 1 son that we adopted at age 12. So the story starts when I only had 3 children. And for the first several years of our marriage, I worked a full-time 40-hour-a-week job outside of the home. When my first 2 children were born, I worked outside of the home 40 hours a week, and my mother kept them. And working 40 hours a week with 2 children I remember I'd worked this one job for 13 years in a physician's office as a coding clerk. And that's what I did. I loved the work that I did. But as the children got older and we started school, we started a rat race, should I say. So life for us was just completely chaotic and crazy. We were living in one county in Alabama, and we moved to another to be in a school zone. But my mother lived probably, well, she still lives probably a good 15 minutes drive away from our house. So a school morning would be like this for us. I would wake up, get the kids ready. My oldest was in school, but my youngest was still not in school. So she was still staying with my mom. So I drive all the way to the other county, drop my youngest off at that time, and then drive my oldest back to school all the way on the other side of the county, and then make a big circle back to work. So this was my morning routine. And we did this kindergarten, first grade, for my oldest, and then my daughter, she's 2 years behind my oldest son, Will. When she started kindergarten, I didn't have to make the drive all the way out to my mother's house in another county, but our mornings were still like, I felt like I was a drill sergeant every morning. I woke up, I was constantly on the kids. You can beat your backpack, brush your teeth, brush your hair, make sure you don't forget this or that, here's your lunch money. So it was just a continuous, like I was a drill sergeant, especially with my daughter, who still is not a morning person. But our mornings were horrible. And she went to public school kindergarten and first grade. My son, he went to his public school kindergarten through third grade. Great teachers, a great school system, didn't have a problem with that aspect of it at all. That's not why we chose to homeschool. But during my daughter's first grade year, she had a really great teacher, and she told me, she's like, Annette, she can do the work. She's very capable of doing it, but she just needs a lot of more one-on-one attention. And she said, with the way things are, the paperwork that we have to fill out on our kids now that may have IEPs, things like that, the paperwork just takes up a lot of our time as teachers, and we just don't get the one-on-one like your child would need. So that just kind of stuck in my head. But she would go to school, spend all day, and then we would come home and literally sit for 2 or 3 hours and do homework and cry. She would cry, and yes, there were nights that I was crying with her. So I was like, well, if I'm going to be teaching her this stuff, I'm just going to keep her at home. That I was kind of thinking those little thoughts in the back of my head. But during her first grade year, that's when I got pregnant and had my baby, Nathan, at the time. So she just completed kindergarten, and my oldest, Will, had just completed third grade. And Nathan was born in April, so we had about 6 weeks of school left after he was born. So that just added to the craziness, having a baby, throwing him in the car seats in the morning, which at that point, my sister-in-law lived close to me, and we carpooled. And she would pick them up in the mornings, and I would pick them up in the evenings because she worked. So after the baby was born, that's what she would do, is she came and picked the oldest two up, but I still had to pick them up in the evenings when they got out of school. So I was bringing a newborn baby, to the car rider line in the hot summer to pick up children from school. So it was just a lot of different factors that were kind of playing into that. And Nathan's going to come join me in the bed and watch his iPad. But anyway, please just keep the volume down. So we started that summer. Plans, they were going back to school. You know, I had no intention on really homeschooling, but it just was like the Lord just kept putting that in front of me. And it was just like everywhere that I went, I was trying to get school supplies bought. And my husband had, at that time we were youth pastors at our church, and he had taken the youth on a trip to Orlando. And I was staying with my mother-in-law who lives in Panama City at that time. So I was school clothes shopping for my oldest, for Will, at that time. So he was going from 3rd to 4th grade. So he was in that little, a little pudgy stage. It was just kind of hard to find clothes to fit him. So I remember standing in a store. I remember, excuse me, standing in a store and just like, I can't find my child any school clothes to wear. And it was almost just like I just heard a voice, not literally like a voice like this, but like within my spirit, it just said, you don't need to worry about school clothes. You need to homeschool them. So I'm literally standing in this, I think it was a children's place or a Gymboree store, I don't know, in Panama City, Florida. And I literally remember calling my husband up and saying, I feel like God wants us to homeschool our kids. And I expected to get the answer from him, like, you've lost your mind. What are you doing? He was like, okay, I'm cool with that. So I was like, that was my answer. Well, literally this was like 2 to 3 weeks. This was July. This was 2 to 3 weeks before the public schools went back. I had no idea what I was doing or what we were going to do. So the very first year that we homeschooled, because my husband and I both had graduated, he attended what was called an ACE school, which stands for Accelerated Christian Education. And he had gone there pretty much throughout high school years, and my senior year I graduated from an ACE school. So I was familiar with what was called the PACE system, which was little workbooks, but I also had learned of a curriculum put out by Alpha Omega called Life Packs. So our very first year of homeschool, we did Life Packs because it was, the curriculum was set, it was just workbooks, and I didn't have to worry about trying to, you know, this was 2 weeks before we needed to start back to school. So I didn't have to worry about trying to figure out what we were going to do, what kind of curriculum we were going to order. So the first year we went with the Life Packs. And if you can make it through the first year of homeschool, you can make it for the rest of homeschooling time, because my children who had been accustomed to being in public school, and myself who had gone to an ACE school, which was very structured and very, you know, if you sat in a little cubicle and if you needed something you would raise a flag, and then a teacher would come to assist you and help you. So in my mind I had set that my kids were going to have a school room, school desk, the whole 9 yards at school, and we were going to get up and have breakfast at 7:30 and start our school at 8 o'clock. And we had meltdowns all day, every day. Everybody had meltdowns. They had meltdowns. I had meltdowns. Every other week I was threatening, I'm taking you back to school. You're getting on the school bus. And I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? But I knew in my heart of hearts that we were supposed to be homeschooling our kids. And the older the kids have gotten, like I said, my oldest is a senior this year, they absolutely cringe at the thought of being sent back to public school. Not because they think public school is horrible, but because they love the aspect of being able to sleep in, to wear their pajamas. My oldest son, he works, so he's able to work and homeschool at the same time. Our schedules are very flexible. We take vacation. Like we've gone to Disney World at the lowest time of the year, if there's such a thing. But because we homeschool, we usually take our vacations at off-peak times. We just take advantage of those things. And I've also been able to work a little part-time outside of the house as well at our church. But homeschooling for us has been a journey, and every year it seems that our curriculum changes. I haven't been one of those homeschool moms that just have found this perfect curriculum and have just stayed with it. I have spent countless hours researching, digging, studying what we were going to do for the, it was like we would get out of school in May, the end of May, and I would spend my whole summers tearing through, reading, researching as much as I could about all this homeschool curriculum and what it was going to be. And so that was there was a time in our homeschool that was very crazy and chaotic. I wanted to try different styles because I was trying to find the fit that worked for my family. And that's what you have to do. If you're going to homeschool, what works for my household may or may not work for you and your children. You have to know, you know your kids better than anybody else. And so when choosing a curriculum, don't base it on your friends and what they do, because every family is different and every family dynamic is different. So you have to work and do what works for you. I'm not going to go into our curriculum on this video tonight. I will go into that later. The tried methods that I've done for the past, we're going into our 9th year of homeschooling, and I'm graduating my oldest. And I think for me, one of the biggest rewards, my 8-year-old was, now he's 8 now, but when he learned to read, that was my biggest fear. I'm not going to be able to teach this child to read. But once he started reading, I was like, thank you, Lord, you helped me teach my child how to read. And that was just, and then just to see those aha moments throughout their school and throughout their life as they've grown older, and when they accomplish something that they've really been working hard at, and you get to be there and you get to be a part of it. So that's kind of what our homeschool journey, that's how it started. Just out of the blue, we're going to homeschool and let's go for it. If you're kind of on the fence about, am I going to homeschool? Should I homeschool? I had someone call me this past week, and I'm like, look, if you decide to homeschool your family, great. If it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. If you pull them out of school and y'all homeschool for the first 6 weeks of school, first 3 weeks of school, whatever, and it doesn't work, you can put them back in school. It's not like you're signing their life away. But I'm just telling you, for the most part, when you start homeschooling, you're like, oh my word, why haven't we done this our whole life? It's just, yes, it's hard. Yes, it gets ugly, but it's so rewarding. My family and I love it. We love the flexibility of it. We're an eclectic, I think that's what, yeah, eclectic style homeschool. Like I said, every year our curriculum, I tweak it a little bit to what works for us. And I will do another video later on our curriculum choices for this year. But I just wanted to come on and just kind of share how we started homeschooling and what that looked like for us. And here we are, we're going into our 9th year. I'm not against public school at all. I'm not against private school, but this is just what works for our family. My husband and I both work at our church, so it's nice to have a flexible schedule when you need to be flexible. And you know, we can take our schoolwork with us if we need to. We've done that before. So you know, and things have changed as the kids have gotten older and into high school. Dynamics are different. I have high schoolers and I have elementary, and I have a baby running around. So life just happens like that, and you just kind of have to learn to roll with the punches. But homeschooling for us is just what works, and we've enjoyed it. It is hard, it's challenging, but in the end it's worth it. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please hit that subscribe button. And if you think someone you know might could benefit from just hearing somebody else's story of how they got started and what it's like for homeschooling, please share this video with them. Thanks for watching. I'll see you back next time with Brave Mama.